And hello, YouTube, and welcome back to another episode of the Zone TV Movie Entertainment with me, your host Jonathan. Once again, bringing you my thoughts and review for the brand new Netflix Guillermo del Toro film, Pinocchio. Now, Pinocchio is a new adaptation of the beloved Pinocchio story of the little wooden boy who grows a nose, who learns his lessons, and goes through life. From wooden boy to real life boy and the struggles of being that. But this version is all very different. First of all, it's all stop animation, so that's great. I really like stop animation. I think that stuff is really fascinating, especially when you watch behind the scenes, right? That's Coraline, Box Trolls, or any of the other stop motion animation. Corpse Bride, still one of my favorite stop animation movies. But so yeah, I was very excited for another version of Pinocchio. I was like, okay, two versions of Pinocchio. We got the Disney version that it was okay. It has its problems, but it was whatever. It wasn't the greatest, but it was whatever. So I was very interested about this one. I was like, okay, this is more of a darker tone version. Jiminy Cricket looks like an actual like bug instead of being Jiminy. And except the fact that, by the way, he's voiced by Ewan McGregor, and he's not even Jiminy. I think his name was, oh man, what was his name? I forgot his name. I saw the movie like 2 days ago. His name wasn't even Jiminy, but he was 10 times better than what Jiminy Cricket ever was in the other version of Pinocchio that we ever seen. Because he actually hangs around Pinocchio and gives him his advice. And first of all, this movie has like a kind of an up opening where, you think, oh, Pinocchio, kind of, it looks creepy, looks dark, but it could be a family friendly thing. Nope. This movie has a tragic opening, and as soon as I saw it, I was like, whoa, this is going to be a very different thing. So it does tell the story of Geppetto. We all know who he is. Toy maker, wood maker, clock maker, whatever they want, whatever version they want to give us of him. He has a son in this movie, and something tragic happens to his kid, and he starts to grieve. He's lost the will to live. There's a lot of religion in this movie too, so I was really surprised about that. He's lost the will to basically do anything. So one night, he gets a visit from their version of the Blue Fairy. They never really call it the Blue Fairy. They just call it a magical entity, I think they call it. I forgot what they actually called it. But anyway, brings Pinocchio to life after he carves a life-size version of his son, because he's trying to like reconnect to his son because he misses his son so much. And things start to happen, and he basically comes to life. And when you first meet Pinocchio, it's not like from the animated stuff from the Disney version or even the newer version. He's kind of like a little whiny little 6-year-old. And when I first saw that, I was like, wow, that's very different. He kind of sounds annoying when you first see Pinocchio. He starts doing his shenanigans. You kind of get to the point where, like, is this character going to be annoying, or is this character actually kind of like acting like how he's supposed to be? Like a 6-year-old child who doesn't know any better. And that's exactly what we got with this Pinocchio. And they finally gave me something that I didn't think that Pinocchio will ever give me. They finally gave me an opportunity to see Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket, or the version of Jiminy Cricket in this movie, actually work together. Which I always wondered in the other stories of Pinocchio, why isn't Jiminy Cricket, if he can talk and be a conscience to Pinocchio, why doesn't he ever go to Geppetto and be like, hey man, your kid's doing something shady, you need to go handle that? And we actually get that in this film, and I was like really surprised we actually got that in here. And it's like, okay, Geppetto and Jiminy Cricket actually working together, or the version of Jiminy Cricket in here. And I really thought it was really fun. Very, like I said, very, very different film. Is stop animation, and very beautifully to look at, but it is a little dark. The treasure plant, the island, the treasure island place that the kids go to, when they turn to donkeys. It's not in here. It's a very different version. I think this is back when Italy was during the war. You know, kids were going to learn how to become soldiers. I don't know exactly the time frame, exactly what that was, but we actually got a scene where we see kids learn how to be military soldiers. So to me, that was more scary to see them actually turn to donkeys, because that stuff actually really happened in real life in some parts of the world. So seeing that in here was like, yeah. And the whale that we all know, I'm trying not to spoil so much, but let's face the facts. We all seen Pinocchio. We all know the actual story, regardless of how they change it. We all know that it's gonna be the same beat for beat version of the movie, but with its own twist. Whoever's directed it, and seeing Guillermo's version of it, I actually thought this version was way better than the one that we got in September with Tom Hanks. And I love Tom Hanks, but this movie was a lot better. He gave us a darker version of what Pinocchio was, how he had to learn some real consequences in here, and had, you know, him lying, you know, his nose will grow, and learning dark themes about death and tragedy in here. It was just a very different version. It felt like it was Coraline, but Coraline was made for adults, and that's exactly. It has some kid elements in here, but there's some stuff in here that I don't think kids should see, but totally up to you if you're a parent. But still, it's like, wow. Like I said, very dark stuff in here, but it does have a purpose, and I thought it was just handled very, very well. I really like the fact that we got to see the whale, but it was more of an imitation of a monster instead of being an actual whale. It was a very sea creature version, so I thought that was pretty interesting. Geppetto was more of a character in here than he normally is, because I feel like Geppetto and the other adaptations has always been just there, and then he tries to find Pinocchio, and then is like, oh yeah, Pinocchio, he does some things, and then he cries, and then he becomes a real boy, and then, you know, they reunite. But in this one, you know, he deals with the fact, like, does he even care about Pinocchio? Because when you see this film, it's like, whoa, very different from what Geppetto has always been treated as a character in the other films. So I thought that was very interesting as well. So yeah, I thought this movie was pretty interesting. I saw it, I liked it. It was pretty cool in its own twisted way. And Guillermo did a pretty good job. I would not be surprised if this movie gets nominated for Best Picture, or, you know, Best Animated Picture. But yeah, very, very dark, twisted version of Pinocchio. But yeah, it's a film you should check out for yourself, just to see, to believe it, kind of thing. But yeah. So leave me a comment below. Let me know what you guys thought about this new version of Pinocchio. Did you guys even know this one was coming out? Did you guys forget about it when the Disney one was coming out? Do you guys like the story of Pinocchio? Any version of it? Do you like stop motion animation motion pictures? Leave me a comment below. Let me know. Thank you very much, and have a good night.